Hamujambo. Yes, and I thank God for being here. And I'm happy you guys are ready for this session. I'm going to take you through the mental health talk because it is so much important that we get to understand what mental health is all about. Actually, we say that there's no health without what? Without mental health. There's no health without what? Mental health. Yes, there's no health without mental health. We say that mental health, that's the definition of the mental health. It's a state of well-being in which every individual realizes his or her own potential, can cope with the normal stresses of life, can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to her or to his community. That's the definition, mental health. And you know, one thing that makes us, work so hard to make us understand the definition of this word or this term, mental health, is that it is not a physical illness. It is not a physical wound that one can display, that one can be able to see and conclude that somebody is suffering from a mental illness. Okay? You see, like where we are seated here, we all look very healthy. We all look, so good, like you're very much comfortable. But you may never know who is suffering from a mental illness, or or we can't even tell that a person is so much well, is so much healthy mentally. Okay, and that is why actually we are teaching and we are running all over, trying to make people understand and value their own mental health, so that they're able to understand other people, either in families, in the society, in other places. Hello? Yes, because it is that much important. Okay? I don't want us to look at health. Let's continue. I want us to look at the objectives. Yes, objectives of this talk. Down there. Yes, because we cannot just sit, we cannot just discuss this, and then we don't know what we are up to. So, by the end of this training, although we don't have much time, but at least I would like us to have understood at least these 6 objectives, okay? And the first one is identifying. So by the time we are ending, by the time we are done with this session, we are able to identify a common mental disorder in the community. We said it is not something that we can be able to see directly, but through this, number 1. Number 2, describe the myths and misconceptions about mental disorders. Describe the myths and misconceptions about mental disorders. Number 3, identify common signs and symptoms of the mental disorders. Also, detect possible causes and risk factors, manage mental disorders appropriately, and promote mental health and well-being in the community. That's our work. Okay? That is our work. Not mine, not from my office, not the people about my colleagues or anyone, but us who are seated in this place today. Okay, yes, so back to where we are, Brian. To the earlier slides. Yep. Okay, yes, let's go on, Brian. Mental illness are health conditions involving watu wangu wa emotions. Where are you? emotion, thinking or behavior, or a combination of the two. Okay? Mental illnesses are associated with distress and or dysfunction in social, occupational, or family setups. Sio tumeelewa? Yes. So what are the benefits of being healthy mentally? Mental health is important in every stage of our lives, which entails all that and includes increased self-esteem. Okay? Improved social interactions and relationships. A greater sense of calm and inner peace or serenity. Improved moods and clearer thinking cope with the stresses of life. Let's go back to self-esteem. What is self-esteem? Yes, self-value. Huku mbele kwanza hatuongei. What is self-esteem? Self-esteem. Kujiamini. Si ndio? Na sio unajua tena kuna ile inaenda to those isikuwe kujichocha. Ikuwe ni kujiamini lakini sio kujichocha. Sawa sawa. Unajua kuna mtu atakisimama hapa. How I wish we had a lot of time. Kuna mtu siwezi hata hapa kuja rudie vile tumesema mtu tu ashindwe. Why? Because they are not confident. Their self-esteem levels are very low. Unasikia kama watu watakuuma, sijui kama utaanguka, you start sweating, lugha inabadilika, English inaenda, Kiswahili, mother tongue, ndio sisi hao, hello, backbenchers. Na nataka kusimama hapa. Backbenchers. Niti ule madam rafiki yangu. Sasa? Okay, improved social interactions and relationships. That one is self-explanatory or explained because this is how we relate with one another. Greater sense of calm and inner peace. Kuna kitu ya maana kwa hii dunia. It's that inner peace. And that's the thing that we call the serenity. Okay? When you are just quiet or when you are doing your own things. Hakuna vitu zinazunguka kwa mind, I don't know, thinking about things that might hurt you, things that might, I don't know, bring what in your life. If the inner peace makes a person or an individual the person that we see. The inner peace. Okay? Na mkumbuke hizo objectives. I want us to go, noting these things. Do you have that calm and inner peace? As an individual. Go asking yourself these questions. Improved moods and clearer thinking. Are we that kind of people who are today or now they are good, they are feeling good about themselves, they are, happy, and then after some time they are, they're not able to control their moods. There's something that you call what? Mood disorder. But we'll come to that. Okay? Coping with stresses of life. Are we able to do that? Are we able to do what? To cope with the stresses of life? Because we said stress is part of life. Kama kuna hii stress baya na kuna hii nyingine, basi what is what? So you see, stress is all over. Okay? So the ability to cope with life stress matters a lot. Then, let's get to the factors influencing mental health and protective and risk factors. Okay, many factors, Hizo tulikuwa tumesema social, psychological. What are the social factors? Ama ninapita tu na hatuelewi what the social factors are. Psychological, somebody had mentioned something psychological. Yes? Psychological are things to do with your mind, with your brain. Si ndio? Saimo? Oh, ulisema unaitwa nani? Tobias. Mbona sijapata majina ya ladies? Haya, na biological? Biological factors. Kuzaliwa. Hizi ni vitu genetical. Si ndio? Vitu tuna inherit kutoka kwa jamii. Sawa sawa. Na social factors ni sisi. Si ndio? Ni sisi. Early life development can have huge impacts, both positive and negative, on a person's mental health later in life. And that is the reason why we really need to take care of these guys that are coming up. Who are those? Children. Juu kila mtu anatoka hapa kwa mtoto. Many times we do not appreciate children. Especially in this era whereby kila mtu ni wa kutumia kakitu fulani. Tukienda lunch, hata mtoto ni anakujanga kujua chupa ya dadi ya black imeisha. Wacha dadi nikutumanie. Nimwambie akuje. And that is mishandling children. Hata kama unampeleka huko umelipa pesa yako. That is mishandling children. Violating their rights. You know, using your comfort and your money and whatever else that you think that benefits you. You ignore that those children have their lives, and then they get affected by our lifestyles during their early lives. So we have said that they can be either positive or negative. So whatever we do, whatever we talk, whatever we tell our children, or any other child, maybe you are a teacher out there or a church school teacher, what do you tell those children out there? Personally, I'm very careful with children. And what makes me this maybe sensitive? Kama kuna kitu ninaogopa ni watoto. You see a child, kamtutu kadogo hapa, unaona tu ni kadogo. Wewe ongea tu vile unataka tu. Ambia huyo mtoto vile unataka. But remember, this child is growing. Today you tell that child one thing. You know, you abuse this child. You molest this child just because they are vulnerable, forgetting that this child is growing. So you never know what will come up of this child. Na huyu mtoto wakati atakuwa mkubwa, sijui tutakuja kuambia nini. Wewe vitu ulifanyia ukiwa mtoto si unavikumbuka? Na mbona sisi tunafanya vitu tukifikiria wengine hawatawahi grow? Okay? Let us take care of these children. If we really want their mental health status to be right. Sisi tukitoka hapa, sisi sio watu wale watakuwa na contribute, sisi tunafinyilia watoto. Okay? Are we together? Yes. So, factors known to increase the risk of developing mental health conditions include, tutaenda haraka haraka, limited social support or connections, then substance use. And I want us to underline substance use. Kama unaandika, kindly underline that. Hiyo nitaiangalia kando. Underline that. Substance use / addiction. Hiyo nitaangalia baadaye. Haya, violence, which is physical, emotional, and sexual violence, persistent socioeconomic pressures, exposure to adverse events, especially in childhood on a large scale like natural calamities, all that, stressful work conditions, stigma, and discrimination, e.g. gender discrimination, social exclusion, among others, unhealthy lifestyles. including poor nutrition. Let's move at least first. Okay, physical ill health and some infections. That one we cannot be able to, to prevent ourselves from. These are things that just happen to us. Because we said, when we are suffering from mental illnesses, they are just illnesses like any other, okay? Like people have diabetes. So we understand them. Watu wa diabetes, na kuna watu ninaheshimu ni watu wale wako na hiyo condition. Watu wa diabetes wakienda bahari, like here, they will tell you, I don't take sugar because I'm diabetic. Me just love them. The way they come out clearly. But when we know we have issues with mental health, ukijua kuna kitu inaendelea ndani yako, saa zingine, it's like we don't want to talk about it. I don't know why. It's because of stigma. Thank you, my sister. Because of the stigma. I want us, maybe from today, try and overcome this stigma. Because mental illness is an illness like any other. Kuna watu wengine wako na heart conditions. Si ndio? Ama mtu mwenye hana mguu hapa hata ingia kwa hii room hana mguu moja. Si wanatembea tu na life inaendelea. Kwa hivyo wacha kuona mtu kwa barabara. Kama maybe they're walking naked. Or maybe ni hawa watu wa hii condition tunaita bipolar. There are people who find themselves with those mood swings. Okay? Wakati mwingine unapata mtu ako tu chini. What does chini mean? Chini, kuwa chini inamaanisha huyu mtu ako too gloomy. You find somebody is just angry. You find somebody is just sometimes mostly crying. They feel bad about themselves. They feel bad about things that surround them. Feeling bad about, many things, and they're just down. Wacha wakakae. Tusonge kwa hii pole nyingine ya juu. Unawapata tena wako huko, hiyo kitu tunaita mania. Okay? And they are so happy, they are so excited with everything, with everybody. And you can imagine, saa zingine we do not understand this kind of people. Fulani anakuanga. I want us to open our eyes from today and get to understand that some of these things are very serious, by the way. Very serious. And these guys need a lot of support from us. Okay? Yes, it is from us. Let us continue. Twende specific. Yes, let us talk about the stigma and discrimination. Yes, talk openly about mental health, such as sharing on the media platforms and through social media. Educate yourself and others, dispel myths and misconceptions or negative comments by sharing facts and experiences. Be conscious of language. Remind people that words matter. Show compassion for those with mental illness. Kuna notes natafuta. Ebu tuende nami Brayo, twende. Yes, no, twende juu. Yeah, let us get to understand. Yes, unit 2. Yes, we want to look at some common mental health disorders. Okay? Yes. Ngapi tumeisikia depression? Ngapi tumesikia depression? Hata mmekuwa depressed. Unajua kuna mtu ambaye kuwa depressed na hajui kama anakuwa depressed. Haya, wangapi tumesikia anxiety? Wangapi tumesikia bipolar? Schizophrenia and psychotic disorder? Schizo. Tunajua? Tunaita mostly schizo. Okay. Substance use. Mungu anisaidie nipate time ya hiyo. Developmental, emotional and behavioral conditions in children and adolescents. Suicidal behavior. Self-harm. Dementia. This is what tumesikia. Yes. Now, I don't want to talk much on this. On depression, let us go to anxiety, please. Anxiety, and I would like to invite Gatundu on the floor to share with us an experience she has had in life concerning this. Karibu sana mami.
Hello everyone. Hello. My name is Gatundu District. I am from Rwanda, and I'm the founder and the managing director of Hope Mentorship Program. It's a great honor to be here and sharing my story on the mental health life experience. And as she was saying about anxiety and depression, I remember 2013 to 2015, no, 2013, 2014 there. That was the very quiet, difficult year in my life because of this. I was dealing with anxiety disorder and also panic attacks. And the cause of this was because of my trauma in the past. I normally tell people, you will never wake up in the morning, you are depressed or you have anxiety. There is a root cause of what is happening to you right now. So me, when I was dealing with that anxiety and fear, I didn't know what was happening to me. I remember, this is to say that I lost my parents when I was 5 years old. And after losing my both parents, my mom and my dad, as I stand here, I don't know who is my mom and my dad because when they died, I was still small. I don't have any memories of them. So I grew up with such a kind of fear of wondering, where did I come from? Who am I? You know, those kind of questions every young girl can ask or any young person can ask. And after I was adopted with another family whereby, like the way she was saying, I was abused physically and emotionally. I worked in a bar when I was 13 years old. And due to that affected my education. That affected my low self-esteem. As she was saying, to be honest, before I could not stand in front of people and speak. That's how tough it was. And living with that family for almost 14 years with them. You can imagine being abused for 14 years, you don't have peace. Let me tell you, having the peace of mind is very important. For me, I never knew what peace is because it's a kind of place you will stay and ask yourself, what have I done today? Am I going to be chased out? Am I going to be beaten today? You see, the moment you see because I used to live with one of my family, the moment they're coming home, I would have that panic. The fear comes from your heart up to, you hear your heart is beating from your head. So that trauma of my past, that's what I carried through because, you know, in Rwanda we didn't have any counseling, you know, where you can talk about what you're going through. Because even I was so shameful to share what I was going through. How are you going to tell your friend that you work in a bar? How are you going to tell your friend that you're being abused at home? You see. So it was like I kept everything within myself. But one thing that changed my life during that season, when I was 15 years, I remember I was in high school. It was during the crusade and one pastor came in school and he was preaching. And during that time, for me, I was so tired. I don't know if you are here, you have ever felt like you're tired. I was so tired of keeping everything within. I mean, like tired of being abused, tired of those kind of questions that you can't get answers. So I remember after when the pastor preached, I told myself, I think Jesus that he's preaching right now, he may have the answer of the question that I have in my heart. So when I was 15 years old, I gave my life to Christ. And to be honest, that was the way out. Because when I started my relationship with God, it started as a father and a daughter. Because that was the only way I could share what I was going through. Because to be honest, I was scared to share what I was going through with anybody. So for me, I used to go for prayers, not because like the way other people, you know, in high school, the way you are being forced to go for prayers. For me, it was like, it's the way out of going to speak out what I'm going through. And I will tell God, God, I don't know what to do. I'm in pain. I'm scared. Help me. So for me, it was the way out of coping or mechanism on how I can deal with my pain. So you may ask yourself, how did you come to Kenya? So I came in Kenya in 2013. And for me, I was that kind of person who was focused. I was ready to do anything to accomplish my dream. So I came in Kenya looking for a house help job. And you know, I am a born-again Christian. I am dealing with anxiety, panic attacks. Nobody knows. Even while I was still chasing my dream, that was one thing that was like, it was like a barrier. I want to do something, but the moment I want to do, like I feel like I'm scared. Because I could look back where I'm coming from, the trauma, and remember the things I've been talking about. I mean, they used to tell me things. I was the stupid person. I will never accomplish anything. There's even the day the one person called me, I'm a dead person. You know, you're still alive, but someone still call you a dead person. So those are the things I used to deal with, but I have never opened up to anybody, only in prayer. So when I came in Kenya, I was looking for a house help job because I was ready to do anything to accomplish my dream. And I for sure, God says that I'm the father to the orphan. He will never come, but he will send his own people. God sent angels in my path. To be honest, there is a Rwandese family. They used to be a neighbor to my parents. So they used to live in Senegal, but they moved here in Kenya. So when they heard that I came here in Kenya, they looked for me and they say, we want to adopt you and pay for your school fees. So to be honest, I can still recall that day. It was in 2013 in April. This family told me, we are going to adopt you, pay for your school fees, anything you want, we'll give you. God has changed my life. But I have something I deal with I can't talk about. I am loved at home. God has completely changed my life. From the house help to university. I was doing my Bachelor of Computer Science here in Catholic University. But I was dealing with something that I can't talk about. Mental health, mental illness can kill you while you're sitting with someone and think that you're okay. I remember the first time I had a panic attack. I went to pick my passport. And one person asked me, when did your parent die? Like, they were asking me about the information about my parent. To be honest, I don't remember the next word he spoke. My mind was completely went. Like, I was so scared. I couldn't even stand. Because the moment the panic attack comes, you can't think, you can't do anything. The only thing that you're seeing is that you're going to die. And I'm here with my sister. We are happy. I go to school in Kenya. Somebody from Rwanda in that village. But I can't enjoy life. I don't have peace. The moment you say that in Rwanda you want to go to see a cancer is because you are a rich person. I wasn't rich. So I kept quiet. I did not tell my sister what I was going through. And then I came back to Kenya. And every time I could sit in class like this, I would, like having those kind of fear, start in my legs until it come inside in the head. You are not settled. And you still laugh with other people. People think that you're okay. You know, that's the worst things of mental illness. We walk with people, and the next thing you hear, someone has committed suicide, and you're just laughing with them. So it reached on the point I got tired. I wasn't focusing in class. I wasn't doing anything. And one day I entered in my room, I told God, you changed my life. I even thought that I would even go to school in a very nice university like this. God, I just need healing. And I told myself, I'm going to start this journey of healing. It's between me and God. And I remember when I was praying, they had to keep telling me, go and speak to someone. Go and speak to someone. I remember after the prayer in the morning, I went to school and I went for counseling. I know many schools have those counseling centers. So I went, the first session I went to share my story. Let me say this. The moment I started speaking about my parents, how they died, I couldn't even continue. I was scared to death. And that's when my therapy told me, you know what, we have to deal with this. You have to reach on the point, you share your story and you're not scared. And to be honest, up to this date, I thank for my therapy because she helped me to come out in a way that I can speak out what I went through. And that's the reason why I'm here. First of all, I thank God because let me tell you guys, you may have a therapist, you may go for counseling, but if you don't trust and have hope in God, it's quite difficult. Because for me, the only way mechanism for me to cope with what I was going through was to have faith that one day I'll be able to overcome the fear and the trauma that I went through in the past. So for me, that's what I went through, in the short summary of my story. And all the things I have gone through, I didn't know where it was taking me. Sometimes your pain may connect you to your purpose. Sometimes your greatest pain may give birth to your greatest blessing. And through everything I have gone through, I came out with a book called How to Cope with Life Challenge. Because of the things I have gone through, I want to help young people learn how to cope with life challenge. Because let me tell you, because you have heard my story, I did not wake up with panic attacks. I did not wake up with anxiety. It's something that it has the root. It's something that has been keep on happening in my life, but I didn't have anybody to share with. So that's the reason why I wrote this book, so that I can help young people learn how to cope with life challenge by using my own story. That's the reason why I launched this book last Sunday. And when I was invited in this conference to speak to you guys, I said I will bring this book, and those who will want to buy the book, they can buy, because I for sure believe that God can use my pain to give hope to somebody else. Because challenge will always be part of our life. Because I remember even in 2017, after finishing school, I went through depression because of looking for a job. I wasn't getting a job. Have you ever applied for 65 jobs, you don't get anything, scholarship, nothing, until I got depressed because I could compare myself with the people we went together to school, and I'm like, I'm nothing. I will never accomplish anything. So the things I have gone through in my life, I said I cannot keep it to myself, because I know sometimes what I'm going through, somebody else is going through it. So I want to share this experience with somebody so that we may learn how to cope with life challenge. Because the moment you will learn how you can cope with changes in your life, you will reach far. Because how you cope with challenge in life is going to determine the far you're going, the things that you're going to accomplish in your life. So I will say that's my story. Thank you so much. And the book goes for $500. I will stay behind. Those who want to get the copy, they can get it. Thank you so much.
Hey guys, I hope I'm audible. Can guys at the back hear me? Okay, I had people clapping for me. I had some clapping. See, you can clap for me before I start my session. So, my name is Christopher Kamula. I don't want to say my names are. I'm a student in the University of Nairobi, as it should be. I'm pursuing medicine. So, I've struggled with a mental health condition called ADHD. It's called Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. It's currently called ADD, Attention Deficit Disorder. So, let me begin with my story. It all started when I was young. I would go to primary, and then I would just feel myself physically. I'm in class. I would have trouble concentrating. And my performance was not that good. But to me, I'm like, it's school is boring. I can't wait for 5 to fika so that I do what? I get home. And then struggle to wake up at 5 in the morning, go back to school, same cycle goes on, look forward to the weekend on Friday, do what you want. And then I also had a challenge of doing homework. I don't know if other people have also gone through that. So to me, I took it normal, but my parents were like, apana, huyu anafaa kufanyiwa kitu. So I ended up being given a tutor to help me in school. So the tutor actually helped me, and they were like, okay, let me just motivate you because you're just a fast learner. So because I wouldn't pay as much concentration in class, at least the tutor will be in school and be like, okay, so this is what's supposed to be done, and then the tutor is making things easier for me. So most of my primary work actually, like a tutor had to help me. Now me, I felt like I've passed. And then getting a C+ in our school was like, you've passed. Like that's like, you've passed, you've reached the limit. If like in a week you're supposed to work like 60 hours, like when you get that 60, see, you're okay. So C+ was like, C+, that's enough. But to your parents, they're like, C+, are you sure? Are you that dumb and I'm taking you to a good school? You see? So now, parents wakasomewa, nikasomewa mbele ya baba yangu, then it makes me look so guilty. Then I went and saw to my dad and I was like, okay, you know what, Dad, I'll give it my best shot. You see? So now I'm in secondary, there is pressure, there is all that. I upped my game. Man, I don't know how I was able to do that, but I thank God I was just able to get to the top 10. And see, come to KCPA, everything went well, I transitioned, and then now I'm in the university. Because of now like the experience I was going through, my parents had already divorced, and one is giving you strict conditions like don't go and see this one, don't go and see this one. You're just mixed up. And then that time I'm yearning to see one of my parents, and it was just a toxic environment where even my own dad himself was just being misinformed by relatives. And it ended up, actually that thing kind of struggled. I ended up going through that for like 2 years, struggling with a toxic environment and how I'm going to perform, because every time, and then my dad is someone who's strict, like that person who enters that door and you're like, okay, I can't laugh, I can't do this and this and this and this. Like you can sit there like a cabbage, and until he moves out, that's when you can do, you see. It's toxic, you can't do anything, you see. So because of all that, it ended up bringing me down. Like what I was able to do, I could not do that, you see. So now, because I picked myself that I cannot concentrate, it ended up just worsening, to the point of even me realizing like what's close to me, I end up being clumsy. There's a time I was cooking and I was on a phone call, and then now like my family is just stressed because now my dad has heard I've done this and this and this and I've not done it, and then now he's furious with me because I've done it. Like I've sneaked out, someone went and told him so much stuff and it wasn't me, you know. And then I'm in this type of family where I mean with everyone, like you have your aunt, she's like, huyo uwezi mjua, mkatazi asiongee na mama yake, huyo mchukua tu simu yake, usimpeange pocket money mingi. You know that those kind of aunties who do that. And then in their family, they're the ones who like, mtoto wangu ni mzuri, kama ni kwenda club, enda tu hiyo ina shida. You see, it's ironic. And then here someone is telling you, huyo mtoto wako asikuwa anakanyaga huko nje, wezi jua chenye anaendanga kufanya huko ama analeta wasichana. So people end up misinforming my dad, and I'm like, okay, man, this is just too much, you see. To the point of this actually hindered my performance in university. Like I had to take a retake, because now I ended up not even turning up to class because I'm worried, I'm anxious, I'm depressed. I'm like, manze, can someone really feel me? Because me, I'm really struggling. I'm going through so much. Can someone really feel me? My environment is too much. Get me out of here, man. And then I ended up getting that retake, and I'm like, Khalifa. We had sessions, we talked, and then they were able to pick out what I was going through. And they said, okay, from your experience and how you've shared it, this is what you're going through. You're going through something called, you have a condition called ADHD, attention deficit disorder. It's a mental disorder where like, it has different types. There is one where like your concentration levels are just too low, so you just have to know within 1 hour my concentration imesha shuka. Unaona? There is this type of ADHD where you're just so hyper, you know those people who are just so hyper, impulsive, emotional, like unamwambia kitu anafinyika, ukimwambia tu nitakufinya, huyo anajua huyo anajua tu unafanya nini, utafinywa. Unaona? So reading the whole night means something I could not do. Ile nilikuwa nasema okay, kifika 11 nitasoma. Inafika 11 I'm sleepy, I'm like 1 am. 1 am inafika 3 am. 3 am inafika ikuje vile itakuja. Naenda na akili zangu. And it's just faith that brought me. But now this one, I was like, okay, let me go through past papers. Let me try to see if I've retained something. I go through all the night and I'm like, wow, okay, let me go do the exam. And I do my exam comfortably and I'm like, wow, if I was not made aware of whatever I was going through, I couldn't be able to overcome it. And it's just recently. So I just have a few tips to share with you guys from my experience and what I just want to share with you. So first of all, I don't know if all of you guys are kind of big. Most of you are from the 19. I don't know if you've ever watched this cartoon called Courage the Cowardly Dog. Have you guys watched it? Yes. There was this time where now like the dog himself was being taught by a teacher. You remember? And then Courage is being taught how to spell A, B, C, D. And he's a dog. Can he spell it properly? He's saying, bah! Then she's furious. You see, to the point of the teacher is like, you're imperfect. But then it ends up and the dog is being told, you see, you're a dog. And there is no such thing as perfect. With all your imperfections, you can do anything. Sindio, I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. You see, you might have this and this and this, but you can do anything. Someone who, mwenye unasema huyo ako na ADHD, huyo mtu anaweza transnite. See, I've told you I've been able to transnite and I've been able to do my exams. With all your imperfections, you can do anything. And then, always try to prioritize your sanity. Your sanity above all. You see those people who are like informing my dad and telling him this and this and this and this. Those were people who are bringing out my sanity. Like they were making me go crazy. But me, I blocked them. I put them kando. That was a toxic environment. Always do, prioritize your sanity. Me, I want to focus. Me, I want to do this. Block out those things. Also, when you're trying to prioritize your sanity, try to pick out mental blocks. Like, what do you know is going to hinder you? Is it like eating too much? I don't know. Like, there are some things which can be mental blocks, like anxiety, depression, peer pressure, like drug abuse or anything that you know is going to hinder you from giving you a good output, because the whole purpose of mental health is to make you productive, to make sure that you are able to give the best output that you can, you see. And once your sanity is prioritized, definitely your output is just going to be perfect, you see. Also, it's always good to look at the end of the tunnel in every situation that you're going through. I've lost friends to suicide. For example, in my high school, I had a friend, okay, let me not mention his name, but we were good friends. And then we used to be in the dining, and during tuition, he would be like, manze, unajua nini? Ukitaka tu ile kifo tamu, fanya nini? Kuja tu na jiko kwa bedroom yako, funga na ulale. Iyo kifo unaenda tu poa. Unafanya nini? Unaenda poa. So we are in high school and we are like, huyu anacheza. You can't do anything like that. It came to 2017, 22nd December. I will not forget that. These days when you want to know someone is dead, what do? Unaenda tu unaona Facebook, unaenda tu unaona kwa WhatsApp story ya mtu, RIP. Then me, I see this guy's photo kwa status ya mtu, and then it's RIP. I'm like, no way. And then I'm like, so huyu amekufa aje? When I make a phone call and I'm being told Ajiko was found in his room, I'm kasema kuisha. Kwisha. People are just giving in the easy way. Carbon monoxide poisoning, unaleta jiko. That thing is not. Let me tell you, never give in to suicide. Never give in to suicide. Like, what I know even from what I experience is, when you die, obviously go to hell. And even though you give in to suicide, it shows you're not a victor. You don't win, you're weak. Does anyone want to be weak? With all your imperfections, you can do anything. You should not prove to yourself that you're weak. All of us want to be victors. All of us want to be strong. Never give in to those things. Look at the end of the tunnel. Be like, okay, yeah, I'm going through all this and this, but what's good about it? I'm going to enjoy this and this and this. In everything, look at the end of the tunnel. Look at the consequences. And just know that every action that you take has its consequences. So it's up to you to be wise and choose the right decision. And also, take time to know and learn yourself, so that you know at what point you give it your best, and at what point you are giving it your lows. And also, last but not least, never look down on yourself. Believe in yourself. Increase your self-esteem. Accept yourself as you are. You can never have so many abilities and no weaknesses. You will always have weaknesses, and you have to accept them as you are. Someone told me, everyone has a story. You have your story, you have your story, you have your story. And my story cannot be the same as yours. We all have different stories. Sawa. Accept your story, accept your weaknesses, and if you're struggling or you have any mental disorders, I can personally link you up with the psychiatrist or the therapists I've actually been able to go through. And if you personally, you're going through that, it's also good to go through social media. Something like, let me discourage you from Google, because Google can give you a lot of mixed theories. You can go to Instagram, you can go to Facebook. Just try to look at posts people are sharing about anxiety, depression, mental health. Those tips, try to post them on your WhatsApp stories. That's what I personally do. Me, if I find anything good about anxiety, I post it on my status. And then, the good thing that comes about it, unaenda unaona mtu amefanya nini, repost. That's the good thing. Like, just try to reach out to people. It's not only for your sake. If you find something helpful to someone, post it. Okay? So, guys, increase your self-esteem, accept your weakness and abilities, and move on. And that's all I have for you guys.